Hey guys, Trey coming at you here with the second week of SLC push upon us. And I am excited for tonight's management preps that are happening across the division, as well as the phone jams and team meetings that are going to be happening here on Wednesday. The topic today for instruction is going to be the post interview, just simple keys and things to be considering when you're running the post interview. But before I get into that, I do want to make sure that everybody is stepping up and working hard to hit their goals for the SLC push. You're in one of three places right now. Most of you are probably not in this place, which is that you're ahead of your goal. And if you are ahead of your goal, then you are one of the few that is. My advice is do not let your foot off the gas. It is very easy to get complacent. You know, you start getting into the, oh, I got this mode, and then you stop focusing as much on your phone jam. You lose that nervous edge that it takes the number of calls that you need to make. You stop having that extra push, that extra motivation to do whatever it takes to hit your goals. So don't coast. If you're where you should be, which is basically, you know, you're halfway towards your goal, maybe a little bit behind, that's okay. If that's the case, just make sure that you remember, hey, what did you do last week to get you where you are? Was it a situation where you just got a couple of lucky demos, or was it a matter of the actual planning that went into it and preparation that went into it was necessary to get the results that you wanted? And so in doing so, you ended up being right about where you needed to be. And if that's the case, can you take it a little bit higher? Can you get a couple more phone calls made at each phone jam? Can you get one extra morning phone session under your belt this week to help you take it higher? And the last place that you may be is that you're way behind on your goal. And I want to remind you that it's all about how you finish, not about how you start. And the key to being a champion in our business is sustained and consistent intensity, not just saying, okay, well, I'm not going to hit my goal, so I'll save it for the next one. You know, get off of the one-day aisle. You know, when you're going down and thinking about your goals, if you're on that, well, one day I'll hit it, or maybe one day I'll hit my sales goal for the push. Don't look at it like that, because here's the problem. If you don't ever fight till the end, if you don't fight till the finish, you don't condition yourself to have what it takes to actually produce on a consistent basis. See, if you can at least get to halfway of your goal this week, meaning maybe you're at 0 and you're trying to sell 3K and you sell 1,500 this week, well, now you know what it takes to put together a $1,500 sales week. So the next push that you have, you can actually make a difference and actually follow through and hit your goal. If you stretch yourself to your limitation, you see, hey, I can sell, you know, $1,000 in a week or $2,000 in a week, or whatever the number is. You know what it takes to get that result, so that moving forward you can build on it. Maybe you have to go back and come up with a bigger attack list next time. Maybe you have to work on your recommendations between now and the next push. Maybe it's simply a matter of putting in better time management into your schedule. But guys, sitting back and saying, you know what, I'll sit this one out and better luck next time isn't going to get anything done for you in a positive way. So that's hopefully a couple of things that I've noticed just in push that I've been a part of as both a representative, a manager, now a division manager. It takes more than just simply giving in an effort or doing something. But here's the deal, guys. If every single person contributes $500 this week, we'll have our biggest non-summer sales week of the fall campaign, and probably the biggest non-summer sales week we've had since last January. So I'm asking every single person to step up. Can every single person in our division get at least 2 average orders this week? All that takes is 4 demos, which takes somewhere in the neighborhood of about 75 to 100 phone calls to get it booked up. You'll book up 5 appointments. You'll complete 4 of them. You'll make 2 sales. You'll sell at least $500. You get a decent little income from that if you're if you're at least at 15%. If you're not at 15%, you probably need to be selling that stuff anyway. And for those of you that are management candidates, it helps you build your startup. And long term, as it gives you that consistency, that maybe the wake-up call that you need to produce a consistent $500 to $1,000 in sales week in and week out. Guys, and here's the deal. You sell $1,000 a week, you're on pace for a scholarship. You sell $500 a week, you're on pace to hitting President's Banquet for the fall campaign, where you get a personalized letter of recommendation from the CEO of our company. But guys, on to the growth topic for today. We're going to be talking about the post interview. And when I think about the post interview, it is the probably the most important part of the interview. Now, here's the deal. If you run an amazing pre and an amazing group interview, the post interview is really just kind of icing on the cake. But if if you have a bad group interview, you can save it with a post interview if you run it the right way. More importantly, it gives you that drive to have an actual connection with your applicants. And this is the main reason why people show up, is because they feel like they know how to do the job and they feel like they'd be good at it. And so you can kind of get that in, you can make that connection from a personal level with them, also instill your belief that they're going to be good at the job. And if you do the right type of post interview, they'll sell themselves on why they'll be good at the job. So we're going to talk about the group interview right now, or sorry, the post interview right now, and give you some keys to it. So when you pull back your applicants, one of the things that you want to do is you want to make sure that people have enough time to at least fill out the PR names at the end. You can always tell them, hey, at the end, I can always, if you ask you those group questions or those, I guess, discussion questions individually when I meet with you. But you want to make sure you at least give them some time to fill out the PR names. So in that case, if you've got anybody that checks no, at the end of the acceptance criteria sheet, it will say no. Anybody checks no, grab them first. And I like to walk around the interview room. So after I spread people out, I'll actually walk around and look to see if there's anybody in the interview that checks no, they're not interested. And if they check no, I immediately pull them out of the group interview room and then just say, hey, as I'm walking them back to my office, I'll just simply point. I'll say, hey, saw you're here. You don't feel like something that you'd be a good fit for, or something you'd like to do. Is that correct? And a lot of times they'll say, oh, no, I didn't know what you were asking there. In some cases they're like, yeah, I'm just not feeling this, blah, blah. Just say, hey, well, you know what? Saves me some time. I didn't feel like you were a great fit either. So good to see that we're both on the same page. Hey, I want to wish you the best of luck. Thanks for coming in. Right. And then you escort them out the door. That way you're getting any neg balls out of your interview. The worst thing that you could do is have somebody sitting in their group interview for 15, 20, 30 minutes or more stewing because they're not feeling like this is a job for them. And next thing you know, want to start talking to people that are there looking and interested in the job, and they may neg them out. So anybody checks no, eliminate them first. Then I like to take people sharpest to least sharp, right? So Cutco to Chicago, work your way down that way. And the reason I like to meet with my sharpest people first is I want to make sure that if they do have questions, I give them the time of day to be able to ask them and so I can answer them. I also want to make sure that I'm giving them the ability to get in and get out. It does help somebody feel good if they're one of the first people called back. Now, if somebody's overly cocky, maybe they feel like they've already got the job or they have kind of an arrogant air to them in the interview, I'll pull out somebody else instead. And I'll meet with them first. But usually I do meet with the sharpest person in the interview first. Then as you're grabbing a seat with them, you say, hey, what was your overall reaction to the company? As soon as they start answering, I ask that as I'm sitting down. So that way they can kind of share just overall feel. Then as soon as they finish answering that, usually they'll say, oh, man, it was a great job, or, oh, man, I really feel like this is a good thing. If they say, hey, you did a great job with the presentation, that means that you need to work on your group interview because it felt more like a presentation than an interview. Then after they answer, you say, hey, did I answer all your questions? Was everything pretty clear? And use the vector nod. Now, you don't want to be like, hey, I answered all your questions, right? Because if you do that, then you're not allowing them to really give a question if they actually have it. The main thing that you want to look for is most people will say yes, but if you start getting a lot of questions on things like, well, how exactly do I get paid again? Or exactly what would I be doing? That's not a good sign, because the two things that parents want to know when they go home and they ask their kid about the job is they're going to know what exactly you be doing, how are you going to be getting paid? So those things need to be crystal clear to a third grader. But after you answer all your questions, everything pretty clear, you review their answers really quickly. Look to make sure they're checking yes on experience. Make sure they're checking yes, this is something that could, they would be good at. Okay, when they say it's something that could benefit their future, you want to say, how is that? Okay, so it says you checked if accepted, that vector could benefit your future. How is that? All right, and when you look at them, give them dead eye contact, right? Meaning you want to look them straight in the eye and allow them to give their answer. What that does is two things. One is it still establishes control, but two, it also lets them know you're listening and paying attention and not busy doing something else. So actually look at them. So don't be looking down to see what the next question is going to be. Just simply look at them dead in the eye and let them answer. There's nothing wrong with reviewing their answer, looking at them for their answer, looking out to get the next question, and looking back up. And then after you do that, look for something where they say this could benefit their future. Look for something that you could agree on, right? And so if they say, for example, that they're studying business. Yeah, well, I'm studying business, and obviously the more experience I have on my resume, the better it could help. you say, well, certainly if you did get the job, that having, a job like ours with a $200 million company could certainly benefit your future. I also saw that you feel if you accepted this, something you could excel at. How is that, or why is that? And the reason why you want to ask them that question is this is where they sell themselves on why they would be a good fit for the job, and so listening to them is going to help help you with your own answers. And it says, well, as you saw, there are a lot of people applying with us today. Why do you feel like you should be accepted? Okay, this is the big question. This is kind of the one where they really are promoting themselves, right? So they're selling themselves on why they'd be good at the job. Now they're selling you on why you should give them a job. Okay, then after that, you say, well, I said before, I make most of my decisions in the second interview. I ask these questions to solidify my decision. And then I have just a little bit of a pause right after this statement. The toughest part of my job is that I can't select everyone that apply with us. So I do want to thank you for applying today. Okay? Then after you have that brief pause, I'm not talking like a minute or two or looking down, doing all that, but just after you have that pause, I do want to thank you for applying. In your case, and then you give them 1 or 2 genuine reasons to accept them. Things that you could say would be things like you presented yourself really well, or you seem like a really hard worker based on the fact that you've worked blank and blank, or based on the fact that you've got a high GPA and that you take pride in things that you do. Or, hey, you seem like an honest person, or you seem sincere, or you listen well, or you seem like a team player, or you remind me of myself when I was a new representative. Whatever the case is, make sure it's authentic and sincere, because this should be something that you're not looking down at. You should just be able to give them the real reason. Personally, I look for something that they've got in their application, and I look for something that I saw in the interview. So I look for 2 reasons. One, that something that they had about themselves, and then something that they showed me in the interview. And then you just say, hey, and I know that I appreciate these qualities, and my customers and my staff would appreciate them as well. Given these things, I really feel that after our training, you'll do really well. So welcome to the team. Okay, congrats. And then when you extend your hand to shake their hand, you don't go reach way across the table. That'll be a little weird and awkward. You just kind of hold your hand out, right? And let them come to you for the handshake. Because if you come across and throw your hand way out there, put it there, it looks a little weird and a little needy. So it's like, hey, congrats. So real cool, calm, collected. Now we just need to schedule you for training. I know you said you could start right away. Well, I'd love to get you in here earlier. The earliest thing to get you in here is on Thursday. Now, depending on what day it is really critical that that line changes in order to create the feel of urgency, but not need. So what do I mean by that? Well, basically Friday through Tuesday, my response is going to be right just like that. I know you said you want to start right away. Well, I'd love to be able to get you here earlier. The earliest I can get you here is Thursday. That's really critical that you say that, because what that does is it creates some urgency, but it doesn't feel urgent. It's in their mind, it's like, oh man, okay, I would have liked to have been able to come in early, but basically they need you more than you need them type thing. You've got the jobs, they don't. Now on Wednesday or even Thursday, if they say as soon as possible, what I say is, I know you said you want to start right away. Rather than put you off for a week or 2, why don't we go and get you here tomorrow? How's that sound? Right? And so what you're doing there is, again, it's like, hey, I understand it's pretty soon, but there's a reason why, because I don't want to put you off because you said you were looking for something soon. Okay, so you review the days and times, let them know it's going to be right back here in the local office. Let them know who's running the training. And when you're running the training, it's more of a connection. It's like, hey, just so you know, I'll be the one personally training you. I've been training people for a while now, so you're going to be in good hands. If you're not running the training, make sure you build up the trainer. It's like, hey, just so you know, the person that's going to be training you is, and then you fill in the blank with whoever the person is, and give 1 or 2 big facts about the person. Then just mention, hey, by the way, I'll be here. I'll be here for part of your training as well, so it'll be good to see you again. Make sure they're right. Make sure they're dressing professional. Make sure they're bringing pen and paper. I would say, especially if somebody is, from a zip codely challenged area, you want to make sure that they're dressing up. You don't want somebody showing up for an interview or for training looking like they just rolled out of, the gym or something, right? Coming in with sweatpants or coming, straight from the club, wearing, jeans and like a shiny t-shirt. You want to make sure they're coming in for a professional training, so they need to act the part, they need to dress the part. Okay. Pen and paper are real important. arriving 15 minutes early, really important. Then after that, if you ask, let them know, hey, by the way, do you have any questions? All right, perfect. Well, if you do have any questions, just let me know. We'll review it on the first day when you come in. Now, this is a really critical part. This last little part, this leaving feeling, it not only allows them to feel the value of being accepted, but also keeps them from going out and kind of blowing up the rest of your interview. So it's just so Jordan, one more thing. I see you recommended some people that would do well for the position. I just want to make sure it's okay for us to give them a call. While I can't promise anybody a position, if they're anything like you, I'd like to give them a chance at an interview. So is it all right for us to reach out to them? And of course, you're going to say yes. Awesome. Well, it was great meeting with you. Look forward to having you train. Have a nice day. The last thing that you need to make sure that you do, and for whatever reason, it's not on the interview sheet, to my knowledge, but just make sure you also say, hey, one last thing, as I mentioned earlier, I'm not able to work with everyone. So if you could do me a favor, take this and put it away. You give them the acceptance sheet, you give them the skills for life, and put this away. I just wouldn't want anybody to feel bad if they didn't get the job. Does that sound good? Perfect. And that does two things. Like I said, it builds them up so they feel good, feel like they're accepted, but also it doesn't cause them to go out there and start like bragging and boasting and potentially ruining the rest of the group interviews. So that's what I've got for you guys. Have an awesome prep today. Have an amazing team meeting, phone jam, and we'll see you here in a couple of weeks in October and talk to you before that on a conference call this Thursday. See ya.